Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I just wanted to sit down and talk about some plants that I've actually been loving for the month of March. I usually do monthly plant favorites, but I did skip February, and that was because I had quite a bit of things going on, so I just didn't have the time to get around to filming it. But I think moving forward, I'm either going to combine 2 months or I'm going to just do every other month. I picked out a few plants in my personal collection that I wanted to show you guys. A lot of the plants are actually quite new. I recently did get some of them from the plant shipment for my plant store. When I do order plants for my plant store, sometimes I do pick out specific plants to keep them as mother plants so that I can forever have them as cuttings for you guys. So some of them are some new mother plants that I am going to be keeping, but I wanted to show you guys them because they are absolutely beautiful. And the other plants are just plants that I've had in my collection already, but I just wanted to give you guys some updates on them and how they're looking because some of them have put out some really beautiful leaves. First plant I want to show you guys is this Monstera esqueleto. This plant right here I have been really loving. About a month or two ago I got a shipment of esqueletos in and they were huge, so I took tons of cuttings of them and I still have a bunch of cuttings. I decided to keep a top cut just for myself, just so that I could have one because I did always want a esqueleto. So I took a top cut of it, which is this one here. I rooted it in water and now it is in my soil-free potting mix. And you can probably see that it's been loving the soil and it is dripping because I just watered it. And yes, I am aware this plant does need a moss pull. I'm going to do that this weekend. I have a few plants that I need to add moss pulls to, so I'm going to do that this weekend, no worries. I'm really excited for this plant. I really want to grow it nice and big and tall. I hope that in the future that I can maybe put it on like a plank instead of a moss pole and just have it just like growing like in the corner or something like that. I think this is a really beautiful plant and I'm really excited to grow it. So here is an up close of the two leaves. It has this one here and it has this big one right here. I've been keeping this plant in my milsbo. I'm probably going to move it out though because I feel like it doesn't need to be in there. My milsbo is really high humidity. Yes, it can benefit from it, but I don't feel like it needs to be in there. So I actually might move it in here on the top shelf with the other big plants, and that will allow me to have some more space in my milsbo. But for now, it does live in the milsbo. So I'm definitely going to put a moss pole on this plant probably this week. I've been so lazy about it. Some of my plants even have the moss pole in them with nothing in them because I just haven't got around to like filling them. But I just like put them in there so that they have like a placeholder so it reminds me that I need to fill them. I know I'm the worst. If you do want to get this plant, I highly recommend putting it on a moss pole so that I can continue putting out these really large leaves. As this plant matures, it does get quite big and you can achieve much bigger leaves if you get it on a plank or a moss pole. And since this is a monstera, it is so easy. I find that all monsteras are very easy plants, but overall I really do love this plant and I'm super excited to get it on a moss pole and get it to grow nice and big. So since we're on the topic of monsteras, let me just finish out all the monsteras because I have two more. So I have this Monstera Adansonia aria here. If you guys have been keeping up with the plant shop vlogs, you guys know that I recently got a batch of aria Adansonii and albo Adansonia and I kept two for myself. You're also going to see the albo in this video as well because it is so beautiful. And just ignore the empty moss pole. I am going to fill them. I just haven't got around to it yet. So this is an up close of this Monstera Adansonii aria. I did just get this probably like 2 weeks ago, so I don't really have anything to recommend for care or anything, but it is putting out a new leaf. You can kind of see it right in here. The variegation genetics seem quite stable and this one is really beautiful. I have two more on the shop right now. I'm not sure if it'll be there when this video comes out, but just a heads up, I did restock the shop this week, so there probably is still going to be some new plants on the shop, so make sure you go check it out. But I do feel like this one is pretty stable and that it will produce some really beautiful leaves as it matures. One day I hope in my future plant room that I could have like an area just dedicated to moss pole plants because I really do want to grow them really large like some people that you've seen on Instagram and YouTube and things like that. It's just I don't have the space for it right now, so it's just not practical for me to start putting like tall moss poles or planks on all my plants when I have nowhere to put them. But I am hoping in the future that I have a dedicated space for them because I would really love to start growing plants really tall, and I really just want to experience growing my plants from little to like giant. So I think that'll be a fun project, so hopefully in the future I will have that. So yeah, we'll see what this guy looks like as it reaches the top. So I will definitely keep you guys updated on this little Monstera Adansonia aria. The next plant I want to show you guys is now the Monstera Adansonii albo. I also did get this with the shop's most recent shipment. It has some really beautiful half moon leaves. It looks like it's also going to pretty much always produce half moon or close to it. It has a new leaf coming in here. I hope that you can see it, but it's mostly white. It has a little bit of green, so we are going to see what this plant does in the future. But when I unboxed this plant, I was like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely beautiful. I was hoping in the shipment that there would be another one that looked just like this, but the other one that we have also is very beautiful. It has a bit more of a marble variegation, which is still really beautiful, but I decided to keep the half moon moon one as a mother plant because I want to see how long it actually produces these half moons, and then in the future I can always cut it, and then we'll always have this plant on the shop for you guys as well. So right now I am keeping this plant and the Adansonia aria in the milsbo as well, because I also have my Monstera Adansonii mint in there, and then I also have my Monstera Adansonii archipelago, however you pronounce it. So I kind of have like a little collection of like the Adansonii. I plan on like restyling some of my cabinets soon, probably in the next few weeks. So I'm probably gonna have like a dedicated section for Monsteras because my Monstera collection is now growing quite big. I expect this plant to be an easy care plant because, like I said, I have the Adansonii mint and the other one, and they are super easy. I just keep them in the cabinet, water them when they're dry, and then that's it. So yeah, this is the Adansonii albo. And now let's move on to some non-Monstera plants. The next plant I want to show you guys is this Syngonium red spot tricolor. I always talk about this plant, and the reason I talk about this plant so much is because it's honestly just so pretty and I just can't get over it. This plant, I've had it probably for 6 months now. I actually did get it from an Ecuagenera pop-up, which is shocking. I really don't have that much luck with Ecuagenera pop-ups with their plants, but this plant and my Anthurium luxurians are the best plants that I've ever gotten from them. But this plant in particular is super beautiful. I am a huge Syngonium fan. I know a lot of people don't like Syngoniums, but I think that they're absolutely beautiful and they definitely are worth getting, especially this one here. This plant is a tricolor, so it does have pink, light green, and dark green variegation. Just be careful if you are looking for this plant because some people try to sell the pink splash as this, but they are two different plants. This is a tricolor, so just make sure that you're confirming with the seller that it's actually a true tricolor, because I have seen people try to pass on pink splashes as tricolors and like scam people, so just be careful of that. Most of my Syngoniums are fast growing, but I will say that this one in particular kind of has been a little slow, kind of going through the phase where it loses a leaf and then it puts out a leaf, loses a leaf, and then puts out another leaf. It's not really growing at like a fast rate, and it still doesn't even have like a node to like put it on a moss pole or to even cut it. So yeah, I'm not really sure, but once this plant does put out like a node, I'm definitely going to get it on a moss pole. The more mature that they get, they do change their shape a bit. Hopefully in the next few months this plant does put out like a node and I can get it on a moss pole like the rest of the plants. But for now, this is just like a cute little plant that I just keep in my rudsta. My rudsta is about 75 to 80% humidity as well, just depends on the day and how warm it is in the house. I keep it on the bottom, so it's honestly not that close to the light. And I know a lot of people always ask questions like, how do you get more pink? It really just depends on the genetics of the plant. I don't think more light or less light is really going to give the plant more pink. It just really just depends on the variegation genetics of the plant, and I really lucked out with this one, so I'm really happy that I did pick it out that day when I went to that Ecuagenera pop-up. But overall, I'm really happy with this plant and I do highly recommend it. Next plant I want to show you guys is a plant that I've had for some time. This is my philodendron Jose Bueno. This is how it's looking like today. It was cut for the first time a few months ago and it is ready to be cut again. You can see all these crazy aerial roots just growing everywhere. This plant also should be on a moss pole, but I kind of like the look of it just growing like bushy and wild. I don't know, I just really like it like this. The aerial roots are clearly reaching for something and I understand that, but right now I like it like this. This plant desperately needs a repot. Look at these roots. It's growing in pond and it really loves it. It definitely needs a bigger pot. I'm aware of that. I'm trying to get around to adding moss poles and repotting all my plants. I just haven't got to it yet. I'm just really lazy when it comes to stuff like that, and I actually hate repotting plants. Because it's spring, I probably should repot a lot of my plants. So maybe in the next few weeks we'll have a video of me just repotting some plants and talking to you guys. I do plan on cutting it soon, so I'll probably sell the bottom and then keep the top and then prop the top in water and then put it in a new vessel of pond. The last plant I want to show you guys as the grand finale is the Syngonium chiapense variegated. Can we just take a second to look at this new leaf? Oh my goodness. This is a newer one in my collection as well. I think I got it within the last month or so. It came to me with barely any leaves variegated, as you can see, and within the last week it put out this highly variegated one. I posted the picture of this plant on Instagram and you guys went crazy about it. I feel very lucky that this leaf came out of this plant because I honestly had no expectation for it. I was so disappointed when I got it. When I saw these solid green leaves for the amount of money I paid for it, I was just like, are you for real? But sometimes you just don't know what the plant is going to do. This is a perfect example of why I don't like to give up on low variegated plants right away, just because you really just don't know what it's going to do next. I was not expecting this leaf at all, and I'm just so glad that I decided to wait on it. It already has a new leaf coming in as well, so now I'm really curious if it's going to be solid green or if it's going to continue this beautiful variegation. I'm obviously hoping that it continues this variegation because the plan with this plant is to chop and prop it and list it on the shop so that I can also provide you guys with a piece of this plant as well. So considering this is a syngonium, like I said, super easy care. I literally just water it when it's dry and I just let it do its thing. There's really nothing special about it. It is just now putting out an additional node, so I'm going to also get this plant on a moss pole. I'm really just in awe about this leaf right here. It is just so beautiful. I can't stop looking at it every day. It gets more and more beautiful. So yeah, this is the Syngonium chiapense variegated. So that is all I have for you guys today for my planty favorites. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, the shop has been restocked this week. I don't know by the time that you see this what is going to be on there because the plants do go quite fast nowadays. I suggest you sign up for my weekly mailing list. I restock the shop on Thursdays. Sometimes I restock the shop early, but you won't know that unless you are subscribed to the mailing list. It is free to sign up. You can go right on my website, put your name, put your email address, and you will be added to the list. Sometimes I do throw in some special discount codes and things like that, so I highly recommend it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys on Tuesday with another plant shop vlog. Bye!